Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving headfirst into the fascinating and honestly, sometimes totally chaotic world of English modal verbs. If you've ever felt tripped up by words like can, could, should, or must, trust me, you are not alone. These are the absolute rebels of English grammar, and today I'm going to share the ultimate life hacks to tame them and help you dodge the most common mistakes people make.
To kick things off, I've got a question that might actually surprise you. Why do non-native English speakers overuse the word should? It's a fantastic question, and the answer perfectly illustrates exactly why we need to master these tricky little words if we want to sound more natural and fluent.
Here's our survival guide for today. We'll meet the grammar rebels, cover 3 unbreakable life hacks, tackle common mistakes, dive into some advanced nuance, and wrap it all up with your ultimate cheat sheet.
All right, Section 1, meet the grammar rebels.
So what exactly are these rebels? Well, modal verbs are a special kind of helper verb, but here is the really crucial point. Modals aren't just stating boring historical facts. They're literally the complex tools we use to navigate social dynamics, possibility, and politeness. They control exactly how strong, gentle, or authoritative your statement sounds. And going back to our earlier question, academic data shows something super interesting. Non-native speakers drastically overuse the word should to express obligation. On the flip side, native speakers lean heavily on can to navigate a massive variety of everyday situations. So the big question is, how do we get comfortable using that whole spectrum?
Let's figure that out in Section 2, 3 unbreakable life hacks.
Look, please don't think of these as boring, dry grammar rules. Think of them as 3 simple, unbreakable life hacks. Master these 3 steps, and I guarantee you'll never format a modal incorrectly again. Hack number 1 is the base form blueprint. A massive mistake people make is sneaking the word to right after a modal. But modals completely reject the word to. They demand to be followed directly by the bare base verb. So it's never we must to update. It is always simply we must update.
Moving on to hack number 2. Absolute immunity. Unlike normal, everyday verbs, modals are completely immune to subject-verb agreement, meaning they never, ever take an S at the end for third-person subjects like he, she, or it. He cans is absolutely wrong. He can write reports is perfectly right.
And hack number 3, native negatives. Modals are highly independent. They don't need little helpers like do or does when you're making a negative sentence. You wouldn't say, I don't can swim. You just slap that not directly onto the modal itself. Boom, I cannot swim. Armed with those powerful hacks, let's jump straight into Section 3, avoiding common modal mistakes.
All right, here's a huge pitfall I see all the time: stacking modals. You can literally never put 2 true modals right next to each other. Since will and can are both modals, saying he will can completely breaks the system. Instead, you've got to swap that second modal for a semi-modal phrase, so the correct version becomes, he will be able to build the robot.
Next up is the notorious must-of trap. Honestly, even native speakers mess this up constantly. Remember our first life hack about base forms? Modals demand a base verb. The word of is a preposition, it's not a verb. So when you're making deductions about the past, you always need the base verb have. It's he must have gone, never must of. Finally, for our troubleshooting, do not confuse negative opposites. Can't and mustn't might look like cousins, but they do totally different jobs. Can't means something is literally impossible, but mustn't, that means something is strictly forbidden, like a serious rule is being broken. You're crushing it. Let's level up with Section 4, advanced nuance.
So, because these grammar rebels don't have standard past tense forms ending in ed, talking about the past requires a specific formula called the modal perfect. It sounds fancy, but it's just the subject, plus the modal, plus have, plus the past participle verb. This is exactly how we express past regrets, like I should have studied, or logical deductions, like they must have arrived.
Now, what happens when you're reporting what someone else said? Well, you've got to remember these essential shifts to reflect the past. Can shifts to could, may shifts to might, and must turns into had to. But interestingly enough, polite forms like would and advice like should stand their ground. They don't change at all. We've covered a ton of ground here today. Let's bring it all home in Section 5, your ultimate cheat sheet.
Here we go, the master cheat sheet.
This beautifully maps out the core modals right alongside their precise social and logical functions. So, whenever you're staring at an email or a report, totally unsure if you're sounding too forceful or maybe too polite, just mentally reference this layout. It's a real game changer.
I'll leave you with this final thought. These tiny, rebellious words completely control the politeness, the certainty, and the authority of your English. They really are the secret weapons of fluent communication. So, how are you going to wield this new power in your next big meeting? Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.